what I would say is exactly the words.
So,
I'm saying so. I've got to do a presentation.
oh really? Okay.
Really like feels creative.
That's great. That's possible to start really free and
Because I've got sort of a scenario to do, and it was so it's really weird actually. I think it was selected I was like,
from the
yeah.
camping site.
Well, I see it.
Come down here.
I
A bit of a time delay because I'm talking to Darcy in Melbourne.
It's like the rest of
I time travel. I turned around and I could see the back of my head.
I was freaking out. I was looking at myself, so I was like, oh god, I need to sit the other way.
I sit over here, then I think I'm just out.
You know,
that's not why I say it at all.
I want to sit next to Leila.
Cool.
Oh, yeah. So I was going to bring some daffodils for the table, make it like a WI meeting, and then I completely forgot, left them on the table at home.
I've got some chocolate.
Just for when we reach the 3 hour mark, so I'll crack that out.
Yeah.
Because that comes out into the road.
Around the table now.
Connect myself in a minute.
Hello, Darren. Sorry, no, I feel like it's going to be bloke, isn't it? We're gonna have at least you're looking at Mike, that's okay, that's not intimidating.
Well,
I said, like, it could be worse, at least he's looking at you, it's not intimidating.
she knows I've got. Well, not bad.
No, but like,
They have ceased to comment about the consultation.
cease and desist.
They were accusing vested interest groups of being used to, blah, 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 blah.
Well,
And I'm saying, I'm sure I see them, travel around it, so I put my skills to use, found the post, linked it, and just went,
WP admin is what we
I
usually
can't imagine anyone would do something like that and put a screenshot and do it.
Just tumbleweed.
There we go.
But this is the thing, it's quite often it's a case of he who doth protest too much is, nip a little further and.
Yeah.
Right.
No, you don't That's it.
I'm not sure if I'm happy being on here.
Yeah, no, it's fine, it's good. It's like a good, it's a good present. It's great. I'd rather you sat there all the way on us. That's great.
Oh, you're right.
It's really maintained. That's it.
Peter,
How are you? I said morning then.
Hello.
Hi, Peter.
Hi, how do I work out where I'm going to sit?
well, that's what I was just struggling with.
I'll sit next to Tracy, that's all right, isn't it?
In the old room, I kind of had my spot.
You did.
Yeah,
You had become entrenched in that spot. I was
Yeah.
starting to think it was becoming your spot.
Well, exactly, yeah. As a general rule, it's like some cheated psychosis from the army, like
You can't make him leave.
I say somebody I know said, it sounds silly.
It sounds common sense. It sounds like common sense.
I just got so used to having trust whoever was behind me.
Yeah, I should.
I still find myself doing daft things from time to time. You know, I'll walk down the street, I've got to walk next to the wall, and I'll be walking thinking, I was in the light infantry, and then I did some work as well. That's where I'm quite good at finding in a lab. I never tried any coffee. What you meant I don't know.
I think that's such good things.
I know.
So hopefully I haven't heard anything since. And that was see what you do. Look at yourself.
Yeah.
one man, so yeah. I'm definitely like where the gender starts to blend. Yeah. We go from like male to like maybe something. And then like
Yeah, that's how I feel too.
I just can't
That is the best chocolate on the planet as well.
It is really
Tony's chocolate.
Oh, it's so good.
There's no blood, sweat or tears in it, so it tastes really nice.
I think you might be.
I don't know about the wit. Yeah. I know exactly where it is. Yeah. I happily share with you. You probably downloaded the theme of Boy Scout
Right, so I've actually said good or do you want to say it? Sorry. Yeah, so good evening everybody, lovely to see so many faces, wonderful. So I was going to start off just by saying we are doing a recording and streaming up here, just to make you aware. So I will get started and receive and accept apologies for absence, please, Tracy.
Martin Boyd, Robert Eulig, Tony Gibbs, Alex Split, and Simon Bellamy.
Wonderful, thank you. Noted. Okay, and any...
Tanker.
Oh, yes. Okay, so receive declarations of registered and non-registered disposal of pecuniary interests, non-registrable interests.
I should
Yes.
declare in 13 part 4. I should leave the room. And there's something else as well somewhere. I should leave the room. But I'll just leave the room. Nothing unusual. Bye.
Thank you, Paul. Yes, Philippa?
For 16.1, I'm on the board of the kind of partnership, so I'll leave the room.
Thank you.
So I'm secretary of the Climate Partnership, so I'll leave it there then.
Yeah, that's the other one. It was there somewhere.
Okay, and is that everybody? Yeah, lovely. Thank you very much. That worked for us. Yeah. Any dispensations? No. Okay, thank you. So on to number 4 then, the minutes of the full council. Received, confirmed and signed the minutes of the full council meeting held on the 10th of February 2022.
I vote we do.
Propose we do?
Yes,
Yeah, okay, received, confirmed and signed. Thank you very much. All those in favour? That's everybody, I believe, Tracy. Is that everyone? Yeah. Thank you.
You just sign. Or was it those ones? Yeah.
All right, thank you. And the second part of that was the minutes for committees. To receive and note the minutes of the committee meetings listed below. So first of all, we've got the planning committee, which was 9th of February, 23rd of February, and the 9th of March as well.
Propose those.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All those in favour? That's everybody, Tracy. Thank you. And then on to the oversight committee, 24th of February. Those things. Thank you. All those in favour? That's everybody again. Thank you. And then lastly, the staffing committee on the 23rd of February. Suppose we accept those. Thank you. All those in favour? That's everyone again. Thank you all. Okay, and on to number 5 then, correspondence received. What did we have? Sorry, bear with me. Just those letters. Oh, okay, yep. So we had, how many in the end? 7. We've had 7 letters in support of the town team and the View Triangle regeneration. There's one that somebody has sent in that they'd like me to read out, so I'm going to read that out at the beginning of the relevant agenda items. So, thank you. And evening, Chris. Okay, so Mayor's report then. I'll try and keep it brief for you all. Okay, so we had Scott Mann came to the View last Friday, along with a fabulous team from the National Trust. All MPs were offered a cherry blossom tree, as is Pink Perfection, very nice, as part of Blossom Watch campaign. Scott chose Bude in recognition of Bude's environmental successes, I believe. So I did want to mention the Bude Cancer Alliance, which is a new thing that's started up. And a lovely lady called Jennifer Oak, she's actually been at one of our previous meetings trying to set up reasonable car travel to hospital for people in this area. So she set up this Cancer Alliance, which is a group which aims to help local people affected by cancer with a range of new services like walk-in information sessions and things like that, and also this affordable hospital transport scheme. So really nice to see something like that in the area. We don't have enough of it up here. And then on to the last thing, really, candlelight vigil, or candlelit vigil, candlelight vigil, for the Ukraine on Sunday the 20th of March, between 7 and 8 p.m, and that's going to be held over in the castle grounds. It's a free event, and I think the idea was to bring the community together to show solidarity for the people of Ukraine. And I wanted to express huge thanks because the response from the local community has been incredible. All kinds of things going on, people collecting, people shipping things around. Absolutely amazing to see. So thanks to everybody that's been involved in that. I have seen as well, Bude Welcomes Refugees, the local group. They've set up a support group which will help support anyone thinking of offering sanctuary to Ukrainian refugees. So feel free to tap me up for their details if you need them. Okay. Over to our Cornwall councillors now. We've just got Peter, which is very wonderful. Over to you.
Thank you. I like being opened up as very wonderful. You're very wonderful too. Well, I'll say a little bit of housekeeping first. Registrations of death in our registration service have been able to be done online over the last year due to COVID, but that's coming to an end. All registrations will need to be done in person from the 25th of March, which is coming upon us very quick, and that's worth noting in the minutes, if that's okay. I wanted to just say a very few words about the canal. As time is passing, it occurs to me that one of the very first meetings I went to as a Cornwall councillor was about dredging the canal, which had become very silted up. Now that dredging work is still not being done, and I'm 4 years of one term and 1 year of another term, so this is about 5 years now after I initially heard the Cornwall Council plans to dredge the canal out. In the upper reaches above the, where it goes into the narrower canal above the second basin, in places it's only literally a few inches deep. There's a huge amount of work that needs to be done and a huge amount of cost. And I've been promised, as of in a meeting yesterday, that work is due to commence in mid-November this year. However, at the moment, there isn't the budget to dredge the whole canal out, and I'm really keen that we make sure that the value of the canal and the canal value is escalated so the Cornwall Council properly understands the amenity value and the economic value to view of that particular asset. So I'm going to keep working on that. And I also want to say that I was pleased to attend Bude Canal and Harbour Society annual general meeting on Sunday the 6th of March, which was a very good meeting and very well hosted by Chris in our public gallery there. A few words about Ukraine. We're all aware, as the Mayor announced, of the horrendous situation going on for families and people in that part of the world. I've been approached by several families who are wanting to know more about hosting refugees from Ukraine. All I can say at this point is that Cornwall Council has done quite a lot of work to work out strategies and tactics for helping people that are coming to our neck of the woods. We know for sure that there are going to be quite a lot of unaccompanied children as well coming through this problem. I've circulated an email today through the town clerks to town councillors, which tells us all what Cornwall Council are doing, and has several very useful links in there. And I'm sure that some of those links may end up on our own website. But what I can say is it's a fast-moving situation, and it's become a significant job for the council to actually make sure that the response is suitable and appropriate for the humanitarian problem that we're experiencing. There's going to be works on the railings at Summerlees Beach, underneath Menton, if you all know where that is, very shortly, and also at Crookless to realign the foreshore on the promenade steps. I'm also pleased to say that Cornwall Council is going to be spending approximately £6,000 on a pavement installation opposite Sainsbury's, and for this I want to thank Councillor Good for bringing that matter forward. We're working very hard with Cornwall Council staff to bring that matter to the focus and attention. It was hoped that we would originally provide a bus stop there through the purchase of the land by the town council, but that has fallen by the wayside, as I'm sure you will understand, and we've got effectively a second best backup, which is a good solution. Finally, I want to wrap up by saying I too met with our MP Scott Mann and also the Cornwall Council portfolio holder for economic growth, Steve Rushworth, along with the group from the town team last Friday. And a little piece of good news from that meeting, we'll talk a lot more about this later, is that we've been formally promised £48,000 capacity funding to be made available to get the project past the planning permission stage. We will discuss that in more detail on the agenda item. So, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Peter. Okay, if there's no questions for Peter, I'll move on to the public participation section of the meeting. If anybody would like to have a go.
Yeah, this business is about the triangle.
Yes.
Yeah. Any idea?
Okay, I mean, we've got Linda here this evening, so she's got her own agenda item, actually very, where are we next, isn't it? Oh no, not quite. Yes, and she's going to explain all about it then. So if you've got a specific question, I could give that to her now, or hang on and wait and hear.
Why anybody wants to change it? It's a special little bit of view, and should be left as it is. Most of you lot didn't grow up here, so you don't really understand these things. You know, as a kid, don't get up from school, play in there. It should be left just as it is. Every time you don't come somewhere, you want to change everything. Leave certain things alone.
Yes.
Yeah, sort of in a bit of contrast to that, I just want to express my support for the triangle improvements. But just to let you know, I'm part of the town team as well, so I've got an interest in it. But yeah, I think it'd be a real positive. So.
I would also like to say that I'm really supportive of the theme. I think I understand that we want to keep something the same, but I think the new is evolving. I think it's really progressive theme that will only benefit the businesses within the town. It will bring more footfall, but not only businesses as well. It's one area for performance, great for community groups. I think it's a perfect time for the trees just fallen. So why not act on it now and do something really positive?
Thank you very much. Yes. Hello.
Hi, although I haven't been born in you, I have lived here for years, plenty of experience. I think it's absolutely essential that it goes forward through the next step. It's been a very good time to set up. A lot of work has gone into it, as you can see from the work that's been done there. And its next phase should be the public consultation phase, where everybody can put their 2 pence of work into it. And I think it's essential that it's not dumped now, because if it's done now, people don't get it. Will just not be looked at all, purpose. Town team may well be situated, because that's the main reason to do it there. So it's suggested to really got to go forward. And the money is sort of there to look at it. And then finances won't be made now, I hope. It will be made after the whole of the feasibility study will be looked at.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Oh yeah.
Just on the schedule.
Sure.
One, just I know you're going to speak about that, which I really urge you to crack on with. 5 or 6 years now, I'm talking to the kids, going, yeah, it's coming, and now left and gone to university, and still not come. So we really could actually just what kids I'm telling now. It's coming before they grow up and went to university.
Yeah.
Just that really. Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay. Is there anybody else that wants to say anything there? Okay. Lovely, thank you all very much. Okay, so number 9, to decide on the future use of the fallen tree from the Bude-Triangle. And I think we're going to head over to Philippa just to say a few words, if that's all right.
Since the tree fell on the 8th of February, an enormous amount of work has taken place. So I don't want you to think that nothing's been happening. Obviously, the tree itself has been cut up and removed. The triangle has been made safe and usable. Over 100 of the small branches in the tree have been planted in the hope that they'll take root and we'll have a new tree. Hundreds of cones have been saved, ready for planting. And also we've received nearly 200 suggestions from the public, and those have all been answered. The majority of the suggestions were either for benches and tables or for an artwork in salvage wood. The tree itself has now been installed in the works unit with the main trunk in one piece, which is about 23 tonnes of wood, along with about 2 or 3 tonnes of smaller objects. Following a discussion by councillors on the 7th of March, the facilities manager, Steve Hayes, invited a tree specialist to provide us with an analysis of the wood and its potential use. You've got that in the documentation. And he also invited 2 of the people who contacted the council to visit the works unit to have a look at the tree. Tom Douglas, representing the repurposement, Jonathan Walter, representing the private company Park, have both offered to take the main trunk once it's been cut by the STC, manageable pieces, and then cut it into boards, season it, and create some of the street furniture, which was the preference of the residents. Apart from initially cutting the trunk in smaller pieces, all the work will be done at no cost to the STC. And then the street furniture produced will be given back to the town. So the proposal today is that prior to asking Tom and Jonathan to take the trunk away, the STC puts out a call for artists to provide us with proposals for an artwork, also made from the main trunk. Once those proposals are in, we'll ask the public their preferences and then decide which ones to commission. The chosen artist can then work with Tom and Jonathan to divide the trunk up between the artwork and the street furniture. The facilities manager will also arrange an open day where by appointment anyone else from the area can visit the works unit and choose a piece of the off-cut or to take away. First preference will be given to community groups and schools, and then it'll be opened up to members of the public. So that's the proposal that's kind of in front of us. We're not at the moment deciding specifically what's going to be done with it. It's really that question of allowing Tom and Jonathan to take the main trunk away, or a piece of the main trunk, and to get an artist, or to get the process in place to get an artist to give us some ideas, a number of artists give us ideas for a piece of artwork.
Fantastic.
Just to say, I don't know if you were, but my Jonathan already here.
I thought that was going to be my next question. You did tell me that Jonathan's going to be, so you're Tom, sorry.
And Jonathan. Yeah, we were informed about this about a week ago, so we met for the first time at the start of the week. We have put our initial thoughts down, and they broadly align with yours. And rather than take up too much time, we printed off our initial thoughts, and so there's some points here, and I don't think we'll do much more than just read them out.
Yeah.
So I think I'll probably some examples. But just very quickly, you want to?
So my name's Tom Douglas. We recently started a company called Movement CLC. We're looking at starting a men's shed pop-up sites, welcome people to the workshop to come and share some social time. We've already contacted the medical service to offer that with their social products. So it's a new startup. We've just been crowdfunding just one machine setting up in pop-up. Been doing the work for about 5-6 years, kind of professionally. So yeah, that's me.
So Jonathan Walter, I've been running Bark Furniture Review for the last 12 years, but also recently set up a new company with 3 other cabinet makers called Atlantic Makers, which is orientated more towards community work. We're trying to get work in from other designers, other workshops that we can use to train up local younger makers. So we have a junior maker, and we're doing an internship with us schoolboy this summer as well. So the idea is free work interviews, more formal work training, local.
That's brilliant, absolutely awesome. Yeah,
Okay.
fantastic.
Should we run through this? Should we just walk through them or just read them out?
Yes, yeah, go for it. Yeah, that'd be nice. Thank you.
Right, so first of all, we sort of talked about this, and actually the reason was because our sort of thinking aligned quite well. We believe that the tree should be used for the benefits of the community and you, not just the individual, but for everyone at any given stage, anywhere in the union, and so on.
It's a macrocarpa tree, which is known as Monterey cypress. It's a medium density evergreen. So it's a softwood, but it is suitable for outdoor furniture, things like signage and carving and sculptures, though maybe not architectural work. And in terms of its longevity, it should be good for at least 10-15 years. If you look for, I think that's quite conservative. Okay.
We really wanted it to be sustainable and environmentally friendly, sensitive. So that's partly what the proposed movement is based on. Reducing waste anyway, so it's quite fundamental with this particular project.
It was mentioned that there's over 20 tons of timber, so there's an opportunity to hit something very substantial and very exciting, genuinely exciting for the community. I think it is related to the triangle because of where it's come from and good for everyone.
I think it's fair to say that we're both capable of producing whatever's needed from wood, and both got plus machines and things to make it happen. So whatever's needed, really, I think we're pretty happy to go along to help people along with that. So you can choose your chessboards and things like that. So
yeah, it is. One of the things we want to make sure that nobody uses this as an opportunity to make a profit out of you or profit out of the council, but we should be aware that there are still going to be costs involved and costs incurred, so there will need to be a discussion about that.
Sure.
But the idea is that we do it at a way that just cover the basic costs.
We would like to sort of outreach it to other projects, other people in the community as well, other groups, get participation and involvement from others, school groups, any other sort of local environmental charities or funding or anything like that, anybody that wants to be part of it. Yeah, you know, we'll have a general sort of run of the projects, but we will just base it on people want to think about artists, other local sort of groups that might be involved as well. We look for sort of incorporation of that as well. So.
And if we can help with the communication process, then we're happy to do that as well.
Amazing.
Yeah, so there is a local mail newsletter. Would be free?
Yeah, so actually, I think you may have got an email from a local mailer, which said that they would happily code it up. I think it's too big to be able to be taken to the mill, but it could be cut down so the root ball is taken off and the 3 large branches are taken off, then those elements can be taken to the mill and then brought down to size as and when we work out what they'll use for.
Okay, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, cost effective and working involved.
Brilliant. That all sounds amazing. Can you the tune, everything? Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much. So, Philippa, is there any questions first of all before I go back to Philippa? Yeah, Peter.
Sorry, if I may ask, does the wood need to be seasoned before it can be used?
It does need to be seasoned. Fortunately, we've been moving into Foffle. Actually, got some space for the season, but not 20 feet. Yeah, it'd be quite a lot. My workshop that I've got at the moment is to be expanded. That's not because that project starts summer, but yes, it will need to be sort of 6 months to the year.
Yeah.
Very much. So the project will probably go on for a bit longer. But first of all, it will need to be seasoned for that amount of time. It needs to be planted and then stored correctly.
Okay, so if there aren't any other questions, I'll perhaps come back to Philippa and just ask
I
about
mean, the only thing that I would just say was that we didn't want the whole tree to be planted straight away, which is why we wanted to get an artist involved, just in case there was an opportunity for some part of the wood to be made into something which was not plant-based. So that's kind of, yeah, that's right. So that's why we wanted it to be U2 plus an artist, you know, that works.
Yes, yeah, so if we could just go for the proposal then, again, if that's all right. Yes.
Okay, so the recommendation is to allow the Menshade Association Bar to work with the facilities manager to cut the tree into usable size pieces to create street furniture and a piece of artwork for the town to be used in areas owned and maintained by BSTC. To allow the smaller, medium offcuts to be collected from the BSTC unit under the supervision of the FM on a set date for use by local artists, schools, projects and members of the public. And subject to agreement with the above, obviously, BSTC will put out a call for artists to submit ideas for an artwork to be placed either in the Triangle or somewhere else around the town. Bude-Stratton residents are invited to express their preferences on the ideas submitted, with a final decision made by
Yes, fantastic. Okay. Yeah, no, that's fantastic. All those in favour of that? That's it, lovely, thank you. Thank you again. Thank you.
Madam Chair, can I just say?
Of course.
I was away when all this happened, and I was shocked and delighted by the galvanisation of the general public towards, you know, something useful coming from that. And it's a shame that it doesn't happen when properties and buildings come up that the council could get their hands on, which there's no appetite from council members or people in view, you know. Historically, lots of buildings have come and gone and we just ignored it. But, you know, I'm just making a statement. I was shocked by the amount of interest there was in the tree. There's 2 other trees over here that are going to come down fairly soon. I'd like somebody to cut them down because they block my sunlight.
How very public spirited.
Totally public spirited. Yes.
Okay, lovely. Well, thank you, everybody. On to number 10 then. And that is to determine the future of the skate park project and agree any necessary actions and expenditure. And I'm going to head down the other end of the table to Mike Daw to say a few words.
Okay,
Thank you. The wheeled sports facility. Did I said the wrong thing, didn't I? Sorry, Keith.
hopefully everybody has seen the report and read the report, so I won't have to read through page and page of detail. I'm going to have to mention dreaded consultation work, which I know might not be overly popular in the audience. What I would say, we are aware of your concerns, and we have done everything we can to remove multiple entries. I went through the comments section, it was particularly telling it. Going through that, you could tell who lived here. You could tell who knew the area, and it was quite easy to spot some patterns. And there were multiple entries in both camps, to be fair. It wasn't just the pro camp. And it wasn't massive either. And on the results of this, I assume everybody has seen them. There was a big margin for error for it to actually skew the outcome of the result. So I think we'll just finish on that because obviously it had to be addressed. It's safe to say that the community do support the idea down there. There have been questions as to have we looked at other sites. Yes, we have. In September, we instructed the staff to search out other sites. I don't want to go running through them all because we haven't got the time. It suffices to say, if there was a sizable piece of land in or around Bude or a suitable building that we thought we might be able to get our hands on, we might be able to put a skate park in, we have investigated it, and it has come back that it would not be viable anywhere else that we could effectively afford. So that is the location the users want it there, the public are happy with it there. Now, I am aware, obviously, that people do not like things being changed. There are ways we can attempt to mitigate that. For example, if we go back towards the cricket club, so to speak, we could dig a piece out. We could put a roof on, not an enclosed building, make it a living roof like the, where is it, Black Rock, you drive downhill. Wildflowers across the top course, whatever it is, I'm not an expert on that side of things. But you could effectively stand up at that flagpole, look down across and not actually notice change to the scenery. All right, you might not be able to let your dog walk on it, but it can be done sympathetically for everyone, I would say. It's a community space, it needs to be shared. We put in the pre-app, the results came back positively on that. There are ecological concerns. The flower that is holding up the storm tower, that report needs to be done, and it is time critical. Apparently it only flowers in May, so we do agree to proceed with this. We need to set up a working group, we need to fund the working group, and we need to authorise that survey as soon as possible. Otherwise, we're going to have the same problem you've got with the storm tower. We're going to be waiting for natural England to go and look for a flower, which won't be coming back to the next May, apparently, if we miss it this May. So with that in mind, for me, I think we do need to move on to phase one effectively, which will be to get those reports done. Set up a working group, set up a user group, so we can find out and have a narrowly focused kind of survey on what exactly do people want in there. Now that user group doesn't specifically have to be limited to skateboarders, wheel sports enthusiasts. It could be members of the community that have concerns about the dams. They can come along, they can have some input on the overall design, yada, yada, yada. So, yeah, I personally, you know, obviously on leave for sports and youth development, I'm not going to stick and say it's a bad idea because it's not. The kids need somewhere to go, and if we do it right, you know, it's an Olympic sport. So my proposal would be we move to phase one, we set up the working group immediately after the vote if it's successful. We fund it and we get over the board from them.
I'll second that. That proposal, wonderful proposal.
Thank you. I was educated well. Quite possibly it is really like
Can we just include it?
Yeah.
Yeah, as part of that proposal then, okay.
I was just saying, Mike, if we got the proposal here, you know, the option, do you want, got it in front of you?
I have got it in front of me.
So I don't know if you want to use those words or your words and add the working group to it.
Word for word.
And if you want to,
Only if people agree with it, and then we can add the working group with it.
Okay. Just going to try and read out the right one. Mitigations, yeah. Option one, after reviewing the report on mitigation, set out BSCC approved officers to progress further in phase one of the project, taking into consideration the mitigations and advice of this report. Yeah?
That's what I seconded.
Wonderful. Okay. So first, yes.
So you were going to release the £15,000 for that first phase.
That's been pre-approved, so we can get the reports done.
Yes. Yeah. Simon?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, so agree with everything you say. It's well overdue, really important that we kind of make progress on that. I'm just, having read the report, which I think Frank must put together, it looks excellent, really great information, but there's a bit of an inconsistency with what the Environment Agency is saying about coastal erosion risk versus something that they've prepared for a previous or a project, the Bude-Adaptive Pathways project, which I don't think many people have seen. I don't think they've released those drawings or visualizations of future coastal erosion publicly yet, but I believe they're imminent. So all I would say is I'm kind of not counting any chickens just yet, that advice from the Environment Agency might change when they catch up with themselves and one part of it talks to the other part. So I would, if we can keep in mind a plan B, then that would probably be worth doing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there are hoops we are going to have to jump through. We've learned how to install power, so.
But no, otherwise
we, you know, it is the case right now. We'll set up working group and start to improve those.
And how many? Just for which we see how many hands we get. So we'll go for the vote first of all on the seconded proposal, as read out by Mike. So all those in favour of that one, please. Yeah, so everybody, I think. Okay. And a proposal to set up a working group.
I propose we set up a working group.
I second that. Yeah, yeah. So vote all those in favour of setting up a working group. That's everybody, thank you. And then a show of hands for anybody that would like to be involved in said working group.
It's the whole council.
Jane, Paul, Mike, me, and Katie as well. So, how many did you have?
I did, then I thought there was enough. Put it back down.
Okay.
5, 6, 7.
7, yeah.
Yes. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mike. Okay. On to number 11, to receive a presentation from the town team and endorse the concept of the triangle project. I'm going to start this agenda item off, if I could. I've got a bit of correspondence here that is requested to be read out. If I can find it in my pile of papers. I did have it. There it is. I got it. Yeah. Right, it's just that front part. Yeah. Okay, so unfortunately, I am unable to attend the council meeting in person this evening, but I wish to offer written words of support for the Triangle project, which I request to be read out by the Mayor. So, as a former town councillor, continuing member of the BCCT and member of the Committee of Bude Chamber, in which capacity I serve on the town team, as well as being a business person in my own right, I am keenly interested in the economic prosperity of Bude, the vitality of the town centre, and the opportunities for the creative and entrepreneurial development of our young people. I believe that sympathetic improvements to the triangle area would serve all of these aspirations very well, and at the same time provide opportunity for the BSTC to derive additional income from this community asset. It seems to me that there is a golden opportunity now to be taken, and I strongly urge the Council to offer its support for the next step in this process, before the door closes on that opportunity. As I understand it, the next step is simply undertaking feasibility work, the cost of which will not fall on BSTC. If that's right, then there is nothing to be lost and potentially much to be gained by the Council endorsing the town team's wish to proceed with that stage. When feasibility has been established, additional consultation can then take place on the details of such development as may be shown to be feasible before any design decisions are made. And that's from, can I say it from? That's right, so Ian Mason said that in. Okay, so I'll come over to Linda now, if I may, to present to you all.
Thank you. Shall I stand here? Is that easier?
Entirely up to you. Do you want me to move around?
I don't really mind.
Yeah, let me move the way. I'll swap.
Oh, okay, all right. I'll sit here then, if that's all right.
Yes.
Okay, lovely. I'll try not to look at your important private papers. I might go for some. Right, well, thank you, everybody. For those who don't know me, my name is Linda Stanley. I'm the chair of the Bude Area Choice Board and the vice chair of the town team. So the town team itself, for those who don't know, is made up from probably 20 or so people from right across the community. So we've got private sector people, we've got public sector people, we've got the job centre, we've got education, we've got the tourist industry, the high street, etc. So we've got community groups and business people involved in this project. And the reason this all came together, it was about 18 months ago, was that we had a number of cracks at trying to get funding for Bude from some of these pots of money that kept popping up from government sources and local authorities and so on. And every time we were very much on the back foot. So a source of money had come out and everybody would go, oh, there's some money over there, community renewal fund. We'd all scramble together, try and pull projects together. And of course, they were all a bit half-baked, they were all a bit costed on the back of the Fed packet, and surprisingly, we didn't get very far with them. So really, this was the context here was to really kind of go for the Blue Peter approach. Here's one I prepared earlier, so that by the time the funding came up, we got something that was formed to a state where we could actually take it forward and it would be treated seriously, and it was a feasible project. So that was the kind of context and the background here and why the town team came about in the first place. Plus the fact that there was recognition from Cornwall Council and all around the country actually that town centres were changing and the vitality of the town needed an overhaul really to keep it going. As businesses were moving online and things were moving out of the town, people were looking more for experiences and other things to draw them into the town. So that was also kind of in the mix here. So what we did initially was we kind of pulled together all the projects that we knew about, from like the strategic plan, the coastal communities team, new projects, etc. And we think we started off with a long list of about 18 different projects. And we decided that was too many to contemplate. So we started to whittle those down based on which of these projects actually affected the town and brought economic benefit to the town. And from there we ended up with 11 projects, and we then went round the town team. We gave everybody 3 votes, I think, from memory, and everybody in the town then voted to start to prioritise which of these projects were of greatest interest to them. And the Triangle project was the one that came out top by a country mile. So it was a pretty inclusive process. It was a pretty democratic process
to come up and decide, which one had most appeal to most of the people in the room, and people felt would be something to take forward. That was kind of how the selection process went. We then looked at how we could take the concept of doing something with the triangle and work out, one of these kind of Blue Peter offers where we got something a bit more realistic. So we divided ourselves into three teams. We had a funding and finance team that were tasked with looking at where sources of finance could come from. We had a planning and design team, highly supported by James over there, with some of these fabulous drawings that we see around, which were to take inspiration from various shapes and fabrics and places where people had done some way of revitalising their town, and seeing how that could be applied in the context of our own triangle. And we also had a marketing and comms team that started looking at how we could create some brand identity, so hence things like the logo that we came up with, and a little brochure that summarised what the triangle concept was all about, and so on. And then we started to socialise that idea with various stakeholders. So I know quite a few people around the table came along to the sessions we held in the Park House a couple of weeks ago, and that was great to see. Get some feedback from the councillors and so on. I know Sean was there, and Jackie and Philippa and so on, and Amanda and what have you. Just to start to get some, feedback from people whose support we obviously need to kind of move to the next stage. So that's great. We also, in the middle of this, had the tree coming down, as we mentioned, and there was lots of feedback on social channels about things to do with the triangle, and things like performance areas kept popping up, and great places to stay, places to take the children, and so on, and obviously a desire to preserve the integrity of the triangle and the importance of the triangle for people in view, but to really take it up a notch to the next stage and make it a space for the 21st century. So we took all those things into account, and the brief was really to look at something that could give us a new commercial hub in Bude Town Centre, something that could give us a multifunctional space that would drive footfall into town to make the town more vibrant. And also very important was that it became a showcase for sustainable and renewable technologies. So that's also been kind of built into the concept so far. So you kind of now up to date with the history really, and where we're at today. I guess the biggest success is the one that Peter alluded to a few moments ago, in his Cornwall Council report, which was we have identified £48,000 worth of funding, which can help us create or test the feasibility of this project. So this is new money, it's external money, it's not money that costs the Bude taxpayer anything. And what it will do is allow us to test whether this is a sensible project, it is a sustainable project, it is a project that meets the aims of driving use in the town, commercial hub, and all those kind of things, and so on. And then from that stage, we've got one of these Blue Peter jobs, which when funding comes up, here's one I prepared earlier, and we're in a good position to go for funding if that's what everybody wants, and if that's what stacks up from the feasibility study. So that's a quick sort of 10-minute potted history of kind of, how we got here, where we are, what we're looking for today. And I think all we are looking for today really is support from the councillors to say, yes, it's a no-brainer to say, let's take this 48k and let's see how we can test this concept and see how it works for the town, understand what the issues might be, understand what the opportunities might be, understand how well it goes down with the people in the town, and then come up with a fully formed plan that we're ready to go to the next stage with, if that is seen to be appropriate. So that's kind of the summary. I guess, do I need somebody to propose whether we Questions?
Or questions, sorry, yeah, questions, yeah.
No, since this 48,000 is nailed on, is it? So you've got that if you want it.
I believe so, yeah, yeah.
Look into the computer.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah, no, I saw the nod, yeah.
So just follow up on that. And what is that coming from? Is it something that can only be used for sort of feasibility studies and development, physical development, or is that, have I missed something? Just wonder where it's coming from.
No, the money comes from Cornwall Council. And Cornwall Council, and I was going to talk about this separately, but I might as well say it now because you've asked me. Cornwall Council undertook an inquiry into the vitality of towns in Cornwall in 2019. And as part of that inquiry, it made recommendations to the council that put aside a pot of £4 million to help towns develop capital projects to enhance their town centres. And this funding is specifically from that pot. So in terms of being diverted to another purpose, I would say it was unlikely at this point in time. I couldn't discount it entirely, but bearing in mind it's got the explicit support of Scott Mann, the MP, and also Councillor Stephen Rushworth, who's the portfolio holder for economic growth in Cornwall. I suspect that money is ring-fenced now for this project.
18 then, Mark? It doesn't, so for this application from Cornwall Council for this grant, does it prevent anything else in the future? Is there like a deadline? Like, are you allowed basically like one step of it, or is the town allowed to apply multiple times? Does viewed area network have a specific pot themselves? This basically like if you know all those bits.
Do you want to respond?
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like there's quite a lot of questions in there. In terms of is this a one-stab application, I'm not sure of the answer. I think the answer at this point is it probably is, because that fund is now, well, it was put together in 2019, and I think that part of the funding is towards the end of its lifetime, because I did explore with the council officers before we applied how much money was left in that fund, and I was told there's a total of around about £150,000. So we've taken up effectively a third of the entirety of what's left. So I think for that particular fund, I think it's unlikely that we could stop and then move on to something else, because it would go to somewhere else before we got to that. What I would say is that Cornwall Council do have a commitment to the vitality of town centres, so there will be further funding opportunities. And of course, this is only the opening fund, the opening bid for this project, because the remainder, the money to actually do the project, will have to come from a higher level, a higher source. And that, we believe at the moment, is likely to come from the Shared Prosperity Fund, which will come from central government. Now, I believe that would be open to multiple bids. So does that answer what you're
Yeah. Thank you.
I was just gonna, somebody mentioned earlier that there was gonna be a sort of like a public consultation on this. Is that would be carried out by you through that funding?
Yeah.
With hiring experts?
Potentially, I mean, I guess we need to work out the timing of things, but it may be that it could be funded out of the initial 48k, or it may be that that's the next stage. I don't know. I would actually think there would be some value in getting some consultation in that conceptual stage, because then to go to the planning stage, we've actually hopefully dealt with all the objections and opportunities and so on, and yeah.
That was going to be my follow-up question.
I think it's a great idea. I think it's really good. I did grow up in Bude and I did play in a triangle as a kid, and my daughter does now, and I think that as lovely as it is, there's very little in Bude for older children, teenagers and such, and I think something like this it's great. Like, it's got the performance area, it's got the undercover market area. Businesses in Bude struggle in the winter, and after a certain time of night, Bude is dead. That will bring more people into it. I think it's a really good, I like it.
And in terms of statistics, am I allowed to say? In terms of statistics, you may know that we held FedFest recently, the 10-day festival, which was all about bringing people into the town centre. It was funded out of the Welcome Back Fund, which, the whole purpose was about getting people into the town centre. And we did some, we did a survey of everybody. There were 1,700 people that came interviewed for it specifically for events. I mean, you might come in for the vibe, but 1,700 people actually signed up for events, which were all 100% filled. And of those people that replied to the survey, the 40% of the people had only come interviewed because there was stuff going on. They would not have come in had there not been something like FedFest going on. So we know factually that it drives economic activity in the town, it drives people into the town. So that was kind of a timely statistic to get from FedFest as well.
Cool.
Madam Chair, I'm just wondering whether the general public behind me are fully aware of what the scheme entails. Very simply, just Mr. Jennings, for example, might not have any idea what is possible. So could you go through that?
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. That's fantastic.
Can I, before you do the detail, would it be okay for me to say a few words?
Yeah. Well, it's okay with me. I'm not sure practical.
It's your presentation, so I will ask the mayor, really. Right. So, Madam Mayor, is it okay if I add a few words into this interim point? Okay. So, I wanted to attempt, to some degree, to respond to a question that Mr. Jennings asked a few moments ago. And he said, why would you do this? Which is the real question that you need to ask yourself. Why bother? Good question. And the answer I'm going to attempt to respond with, it's a multi-layered answer, and it essentially comes from the basic concept of the idea that high streets are changing, whether we like it or not. They are no longer going to be places where people visit to buy stuff. They're going to be places that people visit to do things. And there's three layers of work that I just want to reference very quickly, if that's okay. And the three layers are, first of all, from a national point of view, the government commissioned a report from the High Streets Task Force in 2018, and it was called the Grimsey Report. And the Grimsey Report found exactly this, that high streets are going to change into the future. And you can already tell, if you look at it, the amount of coffee shops and yoga shops and exercise studios that are taking the place of shops that sold stuff is increased already. It's already a different place. And the very first item on the Grimsey Report, I'll read it because it's quite interesting. There's four key findings. The first one, it says, given humans are social animals, and in order to respond to wider structural and consumer behaviour changes, the authors call for a move beyond a monofunctional focus on shopping to embedding the idea of high streets and town centres as multifunctional community hubs within any plans. They envisage high streets as gathering points for whole communities, which also offer a great experience facilitated by technology, incorporating health, entertainment, education, leisure, business and office space and shops at the heart of a thriving community hub. So, obviously the Triangle Project can't possibly deliver all of that, but having sat on, not on that panel, but the subsequent Cornwall Council inquiry into the vitality of towns in Cornwall, where we looked at this report, we looked at a lot of other information, I personally felt there was an opportunity with the Triangle space, not to do away with it, of course, but to make it better. So the plans that we've come forward, and we've been helped by James as well, with these plans massively, because he's made drawings forward against the brief the town team gave him. Effectively, to give you more detail that we were asking for, was takes the original triangle as it is, it pedestrianises the road, the cut through that goes underneath the trading post, which is the shop owned by Mike Dinsdale towards Pengana Pasties, and puts a very small undercovered arcade, if you like, where people could go and trade their wares. Now, I don't necessarily mean selling things. I mean things like the Cub Scouts, the Women's Institute, or the community groups, maybe local growing enterprises, anybody that would use the triangle, you see weekly or weekends throughout the summer, instead of having to go and set their little marquee up, we'd have something there for them already. It provides a performance space, which is the circle, which we thought was great. And it also provided a replacement for the fountain. That was one thing we thought very important. And this is just a personal thing that I asked James to put in there. I love the idea of having something that squirts up from the floor that you send your kids in and get them wet, instead of the old-fashioned kids that's in every town square. We'd also toyed with the idea of putting a single toilet facility in there, because toilet facilities in the town are not great. You have to walk up to the single unit behind the post office on the unmade road, or use the toilets on the beach car parks. There was quite a lot of thought towards making it as environmentally aware as possible in terms of the planting that goes in there and the trees that go in there, especially the trees to replace our big tree. And there was also an idea, this very early idea at the moment, that maybe there could be a tiny trading space that could be a small kiosk, and that money could come back into the council to help fund the operation of the triangle as it goes forward. But that is one of the details that we'd have to work out throughout our consultation. So you can see there that the triangle in the middle is still there, but it grows and it's got some additions to it to make it a more usable space.
Triangle there, is it? What shape is that? That isn't a triangle.
It isn't a triangle now.
No.
It's got about 7 sides.
Thank you very much. Okay, so does anybody want to say anything else? Yes. Yes.
It's a green space. You've got to ruin a green space.
That's all green space there.
No. That's going to be what the hell of it just thrown in the mud.
It's up for discussion, isn't it?
Yes.
Sorry, Jess, I couldn't see that. What's pre-planned? Sorry, as a horticultural student, I'm just really interested in what your research behind planting was.
I don't think you're
that's
saying. Yes.
So in part, I did want to say the area around the triangle had been identified as planting that would be perhaps slightly more environmentally aware. And it might be something that we could make specifically to invertebrates, but that hadn't been decided. But there was a thought given to that particular zone being something a bit more than just planting it with regimented stuff.
Yes, Mike.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I just want to ask, has this been put past Cornwall Highway at any stage, or has anybody with any traffic management looked at this and said, you comes to a standstill for 6 weeks of the year already, and I think this will make it come to a standstill a lot sooner than that.
So, with the Chairman's indulgence, I'll attempt an answer. Yes, of course, that was one of the first things that we thought about. And we've had traffic management surveys done, which are part paid for by Cornwall Council, part paid for by this council. And those traffic surveys indicated that the traffic would still flow as it does now, given the changes that we're proposing. I accept what you're saying, because I'm not entirely sure I believe what they're saying. Right. And I too believe that there is a significant traffic management problem, particularly around the entrance to some of these car parks, particularly around the 6 weeks to school summer holidays. So I am cognizant of that fact and believe that we do need further action.
Peter, just further to that, I asked, when was the management survey done? Well, December or?
No, it was done. So the traffic management surveys, they pick what they describe as a neutral time. So it's not high season, it's not low season. From memory, I think it was done in September.
Yeah.
2 years ago. Yes, yeah.
18 months ago, yeah.
Okay, so if there aren't any other sort of questions from councillors for Linda, then I don't know whether you wanted to put any kind of proposal together.
To invite my endorse the concept.
Yes, yeah.
Well, of course, sorry, so Linda is a non-councillor, can't make a proposal, but I can make that proposal.
Is that all right?
Yes, yeah, so I would like to propose the words exactly as they are on the agenda.
Sure.
Which are, if you want to say that now.
Endorse the concept of the Triangle Project.
Yes, endorse the concept of the Triangle Project, which of course would lead to the town team taking the £48,000, which should be managed by the council, and using it to effectively take it to a planning permission stage.
I'll second that. Wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, very good. Okay, so all those in favour, please. Everybody, full house. Thank you very much, everybody. And thank you, Linda, as well. Okay, so number 12.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, sorry.
they don't have to hang around, should they not wish to hang around? That's what I'm saying. No. Sometimes we get trapped.
Okay, so number 12, thank you. Right, number 12, to agree a letter of support be issued to the fledgling community growing CIC. And we are joined in the room by Jess Creasy. Hello, Jess. And I will get the letter out as well. We've all had that in our paperwork. There with me. Thank you. Well, there it was. I was there. Okay. So I feel like this is a bit of a no-brainer item, really. And yeah, as long as, if anybody has any questions before I make any proposal here, does anybody want to ask anything or? Sorry, number 12. Number 12. Yes, please. Yeah.
Would you maybe ask Jess to say a few words?
Yes. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Did you want to say anything on it, Jess?
Yes, I've got a little bit of nothing actually.
Oh, right, yeah, carry on, yeah.
Lovely. So we've now decided the name, because as we more or less, I think the rate was to be confirmed.
Yeah.
And so we have secured the rights to the name Cornwall Grows.
Nice, wow.
Yeah.
Super.
And then our sister branch will be our school farms.
Yeah.
Because we're working with the schools. We now have 6 local schools. Request help with setting up pharmacies.
I'm not surprised. Fantastic.
Cornwall Grows. Sorry, what was the other bit?
Cornwall Grows
The
and our
school
school farms. That will all be linked to the Cornwall Grows website, which you can see probably on the next couple of days as a holding page. Purely because I'm being inundated with people and different organisations that want to work with us and support, so I need somewhere for them to register. And we've had very interesting talks with people.
Wow. Fantastic. Yeah, really good. Really good, Jess. Thank you. Okay, so if there isn't any other comments or questions.
Comment.
Oh, yes.
That's okay. So I visited Stratton School with Jess to look at the school farm project, and I thought it was absolutely wonderful. I visited corners of the garden that I remember misbehaving in, and probably told off by Councillor Tilson. But what Jess is doing with her business, I am absolutely supportive of, and I think it's a wonderful idea, and it brings some peripatetic teaching to youngsters that are just not getting the breadth of curriculum that I think they deserve. And I'm absolutely all in favour of what she's doing. I'm very grateful to you, Jess, for doing it.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yes, thank you. Okay, so I'd like to propose then that we agree a letter of support be issued to the fledgling community growing CIC of named Cornwall Grows.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll second it. Thank you. All those in favour, please. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jess. Okay, number 13 then. To consider and decide the following applications for year 21 to 22 grants.
I should leave the room, Madam
bring us back into the world.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. I was thinking the first one's a flower.
I'm not in flowers.
Yes. Of course, yeah. Yes, Peter.
Could I just ask,
Yeah.
have all these applications been vetted by the town clerk and deemed appropriate applications? They have.
Yes. Okay, so this will all obviously be falling under the old grant policy, soon to be changed, but these will fall under that previous policy. So first of all, Devon and Cornwall National Association of Flower Arrangement Societies for the Cornwall Flower Festival taking place at the Park House on April the 22nd.
I can answer some questions on that if anyone's got any.
Any questions? I think I propose that we
Second.
propose that we buy me a holiday. Okay. So all those in favour of yes to the grant for that one? That was everybody. Thank you. Number 2, the Bude Choral Society. Yes. I propose that we say yes again. Second. All those in favour? Thank you. That was everybody. Number 3, Bedazzle Show in the Park House. Again, I propose that we agree and grant that one. Those in favour? Yes.
May I speak on that one?
Yes, of course.
Some people around this table may remember a truncated fork in the road of the activity of this council where we tried to rename the Ivor Potter Hall to the main hall, which wasn't the most successful avenue that we ever took. And at the time, the council, in its chagrin, said that it would quite like a local amateur dramatic society to perhaps pick up and interpret some of the work of Ivor Potter and lay on something in the hall. But I just wondered perhaps we could invite them to consider that thought in our response and our grant to them.
Fantastic.
Can I just say something? This show, this album, is done by 3 local ladies who have written this and produced it all by themselves.
Oh, wow. That's fabulous. Excellent. Okay. Yeah, I think that's a very good suggestion.
Did we do that one? Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
So do I need to add something on the laws?
I think the last one.
Yeah. Okay, and the last one there is Friends of Bude-Stratton. Oh yes, to that one as well. Thank you. All those in favour? Beautiful. Somebody want to shout for Paul? Oh no. Was there another one that you were saying outside for? It's not imminently, is it? It's 16. Oh yeah, might as well dragging back in for a minute. Okay. Are you setting out? 16 as well, sorry. Okay. Yes. So number 14, to establish an environmental and climate change forum with the attached terms of reference and agree its membership. Absolutely fine if you don't want to, Philippa, because I'm springing it on you suddenly. Did you want to say anything on this at all? Absolutely fine if not.
I can say a few sentences.
If that's okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
This is the 3rd time I've brought it in, we run out of time both times. Just to remind you that we have already agreed the funding for a post, an energy and carbon officer, who I think we're going to be in a position to recruit now that we've recruited and sort of embedded everybody else who we agreed to. I'd really like to get this person in place. I'd like to get the adverts going and get this recruitment done. And I think it would be really timely if we could get this forum together just ahead of that person being recruited, so that we could help kind of steer that post really. The rest of it's all in terms of reference, and if possible, well, if we want to, we could take some. I want to be on forum for
Okay, so are we starting off with so proposing.
Yes, I'm proposing that we set this forum up as per the terms of reference.
Okay, and we'll agree on that. Okay, so all those in favour of setting up the climate change forum with the attached terms of reference? Yeah, thank you very much.
That's nothing in terms of reference, how many there are? No, I just put in there, obviously the lead councils, environment and climate change, and then other councils. So I spoke with Keith about this, and he felt that because it's not a decision body, it's not critical to know exactly, sort of who would attend and who's voting and that kind of thing. So it isn't going to be specifically decision-making votes. So that was the upshot of that. I mean, what I can do is, just start setting it up and then send out an invite. So
I was just going to say, do that.
Yeah.
Okay, understood. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. And number 15 then, to review and approve the corporate risk assessment. Yes, of course, Katie.
I'm just interested because I think after talking through this, the idea is actually it's actually part of my document, which is cool. Who would be responsible on the staff side if we've got any extra members that haven't necessarily thought today or previously, but might be put on into the future? Like, what's the process of adding to it? If we never start placing it, is it just email, office,
Sure. That might be the best point of.
Steve does the risk assessment stuff.
Steve.
So that would be
Facilities manager.
he would be points of contact.
Between him, Kit and town clerk, but Steve does the risk.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Okay, so did anyone else have any questions or anything on this one?
Just one moment.
Yeah.
Are we skillful enough to answer this? Because I know that risk assessments that very involved, Or should we defer this until Keith is here?
I mean, he's.
Or Steve?
When I spoke to Keith the other day, he felt happy, didn't he? So as far as, I don't know whether deferring would really change what his input is.
Yeah, get some changes.
Sorry for that.
Keith mentioned that there's some kind of deadline for this, because there's an assessor or somebody who comes in and wants to know the risk assessment document.
Of course.
So I think that's probably why it's here.
Yes. And needs to be addressed today, really. Peter? No.
Yeah, thank you. I scanned it and I thought the thing about assessing risk is how do you know when your tree's going to fall down, for example, and the honest answer is you can take an educated guess and you can do your due diligence and the activities of the council, which I believe will be done within this risk assessment. The question from Councillor Good was appropriate, and I thought
actually, if somebody identified a new risk that wasn't in that risk assessment, it probably would go to the oversight committee, because that seemed to me the appropriate place to raise it, and then it could be added to the risk assessment. Council endorsed that that was a genuine risk. So, just in the spirit of moving things on, I would say that we've reviewed it, because we've all had the paperwork, and I propose that we approve the corporate risk assessment 2021-22.
Those in favour? Yeah.
Just one small aspect of it is that now we are allocated responsibilities and we go to meetings because that's our responsibility. For example, I go to the Canal Society, but say the building collapsed on me while I was at the meeting, attending a meeting on behalf of the council. We organise a huge event. I'm assuming you said that. I just wonder what, are we covered or are we not covered? Just to know I care. I care.
As a society, they should have a risk assessment themselves, so you'd be covered under their risks.
Under theirs?
Yeah.
And the Falcons? They're under the council, so okay.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Gutted is the word.
Yes. Sorry, John, if you're acting on behalf of the town council, I believe that you would be acting under the umbrella of the insurance of the town council. So if some awful thing were to happen whilst you were doing that, and it would be the town council's responsibility to pick up the pieces.
I feel reassured.
Right. Okay, so on to number 16 then. That's a yes.
Well, on all the town teams, then we've got an interest in it.
No.
Okay, so first up, to make the following councillor appointments onto the Youth Climate Partnership, first of all, council representation. So does anybody express a bit of interest in that one? Sean?
Yeah, so this is deferred from a previous meeting where I said I would like to do that, if that's okay.
Fantastic.
I voted to do that.
Okay, so just before we go any further, if just double checking that nobody else is expressing an interest in that one, and if not, good to vote. Okay, so all those in favour of Sean being representative on the climate partnership? Yes, you can. That's it. Thank you. Thank you. Sean, thank you.
It's secret.
It's a secret. Okay, so next on the list is the council representation on the town team. So does anybody have a bit of interest there? Anybody? Tom, yes.
I'd quite like to.
You'd like to.
That's okay.
Okay.
Postcard.
Yeah, and is there anybody else that's just before we go any further with it? No?
I would just say that I was a bit sceptical about it to start off with, but I've been convinced by recent events.
Can you fit it in?
No.
Okay. Yes, so Mike proposed.
Was there a second or is there a second? Yeah, second.
Wonderful. And those in favour of Tom being now representative on the town team. Thank you all very much. Wonderful. Thank you, Tom. And the next one on the list is the joint youth lead councillor.
I'll vote again.
Okay, and I have to just check that there isn't anybody.
I don't know if I'm allowed.
So just to check nobody else will carry on there. So a seconder for Mike's proposal?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and all those in favour of Jane?
Good. Come on.
Wonderful, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
And there is one voting vacancy on the oversight committee as well.
I'll propose myself.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, and all those in favour? Sorry. All those in favour of Mike? That's everybody.
I wouldn't quite like it, but.
So thank you. Okay, on to number 17 then, to agree the movement of reserves. Yeah. Thank you, Tracy. Yeah, so I spoke to Keith about this the other day in a bit more detail, and it sounds really as far as Mark's hoping to do there. So has anyone got any questions? Whether I can answer them or not is another matter, but.
Does have no questions? I'll go to propose we agree with movements.
Yes, wonderful.
I'll second that.
Wonderful, fantastic. So all those in favour then, please.
So option one, just checking.
Yes, sorry, option one, approve the above movement in reserves to create funding capacity to progress the projects over the spring. Thank you, everyone. Okay, and number 18. Now, somebody might have to help me out here because I didn't check the pronunciation before tonight. Tresori. Tresori? Yeah. Okay. To give retrospective approval to the Tresori Perno grant agreement signed under delegated authority due to time constraints. Yeah. Yes, Philip.
Peter proposed that we delegated authority.
Yeah. Wonderful. Okay. So those in favour. Then, please. Yes. So thank you all. Lastly, the financial report. So to approve the schedule of payments made between the 25th of February and the 17th of March this year. Yes, Philippa.
I just had a question about the stuff that went out for the Fed Fest. I mean, presumably that money's coming back in to us from the Fed Fest fund. Is that the welcome back fund? Yeah. Okay.
It's got welcome back next to it. That's why it's there.
Okay.
I suppose we approve those.
Yeah. I'll second that as well. So all those in favour of that schedule of payments approved? And then the second part of that is to approve the schedule of payments to be made on the 18th of March. Okay, I'm going to second that. So all those in favour, do you have a question?
No.
Yeah, fine. Okay, so all those in favour of approving the schedule of payments? That's it again. My goodness. Thank you all very much. What a wonderful meeting. Here we are.
7:30.
Which you can get passed around as capacity counted. It's insane. Yeah, there's no role in the growing or the environment. So, quite much a